Figure 6.64 is going to lend itself to the contours and regions, mainly because we have can generate most of this sketch, a few of the rounds. Maybe we even get that into the fillet. We have a little standoff boss at the end. From the manufacturing point, when we're looking at the cam, there were a lot of squared edges, not a lot of fillets, so that's a fairly straightforward manufactured piece. When we see these fillets and coming around those edges, chances are that's going to be more along the lines of a casting. So the one fillet that I think I would need is on the flat here and across the bottom, and pretty much everything. If we needed that as a riser, but again, from the manufacturing standpoint, we could do this one or two ways. So let's go ahead and start building this out. So really, I'm looking at this front profile, and as we generate those shapes, this is a metric part. So on the front plane, let's see, all of the dimensions are pretty much coming off of that center and back, so that would be a good place to put the origin, is right at the center of that hole. We also have that bilateral dimension, and I think I might have missed that on the cam, putting in that value as a limit dimension. So let's go ahead and get our shape started with a 41 and then the through hole. Double check my number real quick. Maximum material condition will be the 22.17, and if I'm thinking about it, I will go ahead and put the limit in right away so that I don't get past my 30-second attention span. So this is going to be a plus 0.06 to get to the 22.23. Looking down through here, don't see anything else. Don't really need anything on the leaders. We'll check the other. Not seeing my mark for drawing, so I'll just right click, and it's just off the edge of the screen for the mark, but it will change it to black. Alright, so 22.17 looks about right. Alright, and then for the step, that looks like it comes off of center, so I'm going to bring this off. And one of the nice things about contours and regions, they don't have to be super picky. I can add in geometry and not have to worry too much about cleaning it out. So from the origin back, we have 76, but then we also have a radius of 17. I'm going to go ahead and include that, so 76 plus 17. And maybe as a reminder, when I put in the step, alright, so the up and the over, I might put one in there that has that 17 in it as a visual reference. Even though right now I'm not doing anything with that, it's saved for later kind of thing. So 38 from the center, we have a step of 16, so 16 on the height, and then from the front edge 51, and then that one, let's see, oh, I picked the entire line. I need to go between the two verticals, and then I can get the 51. Alright, so that being the case, let's go ahead and send this out center line. So extrude, and I'm at mid plane. We'll go mid plane to 44. That'll get me my start. If it happens to overlap or pull any of that extra geometry, it should be pretty visible that something's going on. and that had a radius of 17, so that'll be 34, or 5 millimeters per side. So the contours will be the round. Pick up the face. Notice that the little pie shape in between is not being included, and I also want to include that 17 at the end. Midplane for my in condition, 34 for the distance. Alright, so since that is all included, I really don't have to have, let's go back into the contour regions, I don't really have to have that, that lower geometry. So we'll see how that looks, and maybe it simplifies the selection just down to those two. Alright, but again, it's what you see, and if there's any doubts, we pick and refine as we go. Alright, so that gets my geometry in place. Let's go to the bottom, and we have 16 and a depth of 6. So we'll just generate the rectangle. Go back into the selections, right click, select the midpoint, control select the bottom edge, make that midpoint to midpoint. 16 on the width, 6 on the height, and then extrude cut through all. Okay, so that gives us the lower, and then the boss on the back side. Let's go ahead and show that sketch. So, technically that should be my center point. So if I draw the boss at that point, I'm not including a separate dimension. Problem is picking it up. So if I can't quite get that in point, then I'm going to do the control select and make coincident. Give it a diameter of 25. And then that's going to be raised up 3 millimeters. And then we go for, don't really need to be a hole wizard unless we think that eventually it'll be some type of countersink, counterbore, threaded hole. And that was a diameter, 2 times 11. So since I'm above the part and that's going all the way through, I should be able to pick that up. We'll make those equal, since the intent will be that they probably will always be equal. And then we're going to bring it back 41. And that cut extrude will go through all as well. Alright, so again, if I'm machining this and maybe I need the spot face, my choices would be, is it really an advantage cutting that? Is there some kind of clearance this needs? Can I use a longer bolt or screw over here and get the same result? Alright, so if I eliminate the fillet here, that's going to lend itself to our manufacturing process, but if I need to blend this, then I will probably end up blending along that edge and the lower edge. So let's go ahead and hide. We were given fillets in rounds of 3. I'm really not going to clear that with a 6 millimeter 1/4 inch tool, even at the best. So as generous as I could make that, that would be what we want to do. Alright, the rest of it we will reserve for another configuration. And if I go into the fillet, here it goes to 17, but we want to check that on the end of our fillet type, we can have that go to a full round, and we'll kind of eliminate that line where the two fillets come together. Or not. It sounded good. Alright, so this is my manufactured. And let's go ahead and introduce a configuration as a what-if scenario. So my top configuration, I'm going to add, so this is the machined, And then if we say the other one is the default, I'm not going to go too much further into it for now. I can go back and select the default, and we're going to apply the rest of those fillets. So through it 3 millimeters on the edges, nothing on the back. That one shows as a sharp. Kind of looks like there'll be one on the top. So this coming around and blending in, and the outside edge of the boss and outside edge. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. And something got hung up there, so I'm gonna delete as I back up. Oh, I went to 13, so that was the number that I accidentally hit the arrow or scroll wheeled up. Okay, so that's looking better. We got the blends. And so what that gives me then is the ability to look at, maybe that's my preferred machined, a little bit flatter, straighter corners, blends that'll help me generate that boss, and then not have so much to cut on the outside edges. All right, so we'll stay with the default for now, save this, and then we're ready to go on to the next.